Welcome to another adventure with Getting Lost. In our previous video, we were at the Sembawang hot springs and we followed the waters that left the hot springs all the way to here, which is the Simpang Kiri River. And unfortunately, we cannot continue going straight that direction because we are being blocked. There are obstructions and they are doing some renovation and building a road here. So we are not able to continue directly to the park. So we have to find another way to get there. But along the way, we did find the Simpang Kanan River, which connects to the Simpang Kiri River. And doesn't this place reminds you of Punggol a little bit? Anyway, so join me and see whether we finally get to reach the Sembawang Park or not. I also don't know whether I can find it. So to find out, join me after the intro. Welcome back. This road here is actually Canberra Road and it's not any river. Well, because the river is actually right past the blocks on my right here, and the way to the river is being blocked by renovations, so we are not able to walk that way. So we have to find a huge roundabout way to get towards the river again. And over here you see is actually Sembawang Road. So we will have to head down Sembawang Road to look for the Sembawang Park or get back to the river that we were exploring. So on my left now is still Sembawang Road and we just keep walking that direction. And if I'm not mistaken, if you just keep walking down that direction following Sembawang Road, we would finally reach to the Sembawang Park. But our journey, the journey that we're going on, takes us along the river, but opposite are a lot of old white and black bungalows from pre-World War II times, and so that area here is a very old area. And so what we're going to do is we're going to head in this pathway and hopefully we can find the river from here. And this is like a lot of renovations, a lot of construction being done around here. So this is one of the reasons why we are not able to actually get directly to the park or continue walking along the riverside, because they're actually building a vehicular highway. Yes, so they're actually building a highway here on my right here that will connect from where we saw earlier, the road, all the way to this Sembawang Road. So they're going to build a big highway. So because of that, the pathway temporarily is being blocked. So we just keep walking further, keep walking down this jungle construction pathway, and hopefully sooner or later we will reach the river. This is where we wanted to head to previously, but we couldn't cut here because of all the construction and all the renovation. So we could have crossed the river over here from the HDB flats or cross it from here from the roadside, which now we have reached again this long pathway which will take us to the sea. So here is the Simpang Kiri River, and the pathway we are walking along is probably the Simpang Kiri River Park Connector or something along that line. So the pathway you see here is the Simpang Kiri Park Connector, and right beside it is the Simpang Kiri River. So it comes all the way from there, which is Canberra, and heads straight down that direction, a very long path. And at the end of the path, this river actually heads towards the sea. And across the river is actually a SAF training ground, and looks like there's actually some wild dogs. It's actually quite rare to find wild dogs in Singapore because most wild dogs will be caught by the SPCA. But here there seem to be small little pack of dogs in the SAF training area. So that area there, that place there with all the trees and stuff, is off limits for civilians, because they do a lot of training there. So let's just continue walking down. You can see the river and the trees. And also, if you actually keep walking along here, you can hear the birds. And you can see actually ahead is the mouth of the river, and then Straits of Johor, and then Johor. We could actually head all the way to the sea and turn left and continue walking towards the park. But unfortunately, there's actually some construction going on along the beach. So we cannot actually continue walking from there. So we just need to turn left and walk through this forest here. And this forest here is a secondary forest. That means the forest regrow again after it was cut. And in around this area here, there are a lot of old air raid shelters in this area here, because the site in the where we're going to Sembawang Park, the area around there used to be an old Malay kampong, and so the government actually built a lot of air raid shelters in this area here, the forested areas, so that during World War II people can come and hide from the bombing. So where we're going to head to now is going to head towards Sembawang Park. And so previously, you can actually see where we went previously, along the canal, the Simpang Kiri River, reach the end, and then we walk all the way to the park. So this is the park, or at least one area of the park. We're going to walk straight down to the other end of the park, which will reach the sea in that direction. So one thing interesting about this park is it's a very narrow park, and it's a bit hilly. So not a very good place for you to maybe play ball sports, play football, or playing sports, because the land is not very flat, and also it's quite narrow and lots of trees all around. But what's very interesting is if you can reach the other end of the park, the other end of the park actually faces the sea, and right beside it is actually the Sembawang Park. So as we head along the side of the park, if we keep following the road, we'll finally reach the sea and this end of the Sembawang Park. And as you can see, we are actually reaching the sea. Can you see that? So this is what I was talking about. In front there, you can see there's some construction going on. So that was the place that was blocking us from walking at the seaside to come here. And this area here, you see this end of the park is where the old Malay kampong used to be. The name of the kampong was called Kampong Wak Hassan, and it used to be around this whole area here. And so because of that, a lot of the road names around this area here is actually Malay names, or Malay inspired road names. And you can see here, this is Straits of Johor, and across there is Malaysia, or Johor State. So we're going to walk along the park. This is the Sembawang Park. You can see some really old trees around, and also they also have a pier. So here's the pier. It's a fishing pier, so people do come here to fish. And here is also the Beaulieu House, which I'll tell you more about later. But let's head to the pier first. So this is the pier. We're going to head towards the pier. And from the pier, you can see the waters. The waters here, if you actually look at it closely, is not very clean. That's the reason is because you are just right next to, first of all, the Sembawang port where all the ships are docked, and then opposite is actually Johor. So because of that, the waters here are not very, not to say dirty, but it's not the cleanest. A lot of specks and stuff in the water, as you can see here. But people do come here to swim. Some people do, and there's actually shower facilities at the park for you to clean yourself up after you play in the sea. But look at that, Johor. And this is the pier, and the next place we're going to is this house, which is called the Beaulieu House. I don't even know whether I'm pronouncing it properly. This house was actually built in the 1910s, and it was actually a family house. Then in 1923, the British took over the house when the Sembawang naval base was being built. So you can see this house is very old. The style of building it is also very old. And after the British took it over, it served as a residence for senior engineers during the construction and the operations of the naval base, the Sembawang naval base. And senior officers resided at this house. And you can see it's actually a very ornate house with a lot of very nice fixtures. But now the house here is no longer a residence, it's actually a restaurant. So you can come here for meals, maybe this is a venue for parties and stuff. But I must say it's a very beautiful house, and in Singapore there are very few houses with such design. And so we finally made it here to the Sembawang Park from the Sembawang Hot Springs, and we actually had some really major detours and major obstructions that actually add in quite a lot of time, maybe like a few hours to my journey, to my walk time to reach to this park here. So it wasn't a very straightforward walk, but it was still a very enjoyable walk, even though it was very hot. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me for my adventure here to Sembawang Park. I hope you enjoyed your eye-opening view of Sembawang. And lastly, but before we go, please do me a favor. Please help me by liking my video, sharing my video, and also subscribing to my channel. And lastly, but the most important thing, the thing that you have to do is to join me for my next adventure. I will see you there. Bye bye.